Great. Thank you, Adrian, and thank you, Dirk, firstly for the invitation, and secondly for keeping the spirit of the Energy Community Summer School live throughout the whole year. We appreciate that a lot as alumni, both Milos and me. And also, I'm very happy to see many familiar faces in the audience. Thank you all for taking your time to discuss with us the topic which we agree with Dirk. We find it quite hot, quite active nowadays, especially in the time of energy crisis which we are facing currently. And for the sake of time, I would just briefly introduce what we will touch upon, and then we will start immediately. So I would firstly try to position energy law within the energy transition puzzle, introduce it as a discipline, while Milos would highlight the importance of energy law for the energy transition.
Please, can you maximize your presentation, please?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So yes, as I said, Milos would highlight the importance of the energy law for the energy transition, and finally he would talk about something which he's very much involved in. We are both part of actually Association of Energy Lawyers, and see what are the potential for the contribution to the energy transition of these particular associations. So, but I would really like to try from the to start from the essentials, because yeah, let's just try to go back to what Dirk said, some of the basics, and think about, okay, what we did from the, let's say we got up to morning this morning today, and what we did first. We, for instance, turned on the light, right? We charged our phone, we charged our laptop, we prepared some tea, coffee, meal. We used any way of transportation to change our location, or we heated a bit if it was too cold in our place. And then, of course, what is in common for all these very basic daily activities is energy law. Why? Because it is regulating each and every of this activity. Now, to go back from this very individual to state level, at the state level, we have decision makers who are trying to invest, trying to support, to advance their energy sectors. They are trying to encourage investments in new technologies. And finally, they're at the same time trying to fight climate change. So as the energy sector as such develops, the same in parallel goes development of energy law in order to support these changes and these advancements. Also, it is important to consider that after energy as such raised on the political agenda due to energy crisis, due to prices, due to prices volatility, due to different market issues, and finally climate change, we have energy to go behind creating these changes and support this change. So quite challenging task. I think you would agree with me. And then on the other hand, beside energy law, we have energy transition, which at the very basic of it, at the beginning, was defined as purely technical transition from fossil fuels to renewables. So one technology to another, shift. But very soon we realized that this shift is not enough, and then that we require another shift, what we call so-called paradigm shift, which means that beside this energy transition technology part, which is quite still important, we need to take care about social aspects. And that's why we talk about energy justice, just transition, gender aspects in the energy transition. Also, we need to take care about this famous question in particular in the Western Balkan countries. Okay, how much energy transition would cost? And what is more important, who would pay for it? So this economics part. Also, we need to think about resources and the connectivity of our countries, geographical aspects. Finally, environmental aspects. Yes, we can shift from one technology to another, but let's use the technology which is less polluting to the nature and to the humans. So beside all these pieces of the energy transition puzzle, we have also that one which we mentioned that is challenging, energy law and policy. And now, as you can see from this puzzle, based on the literature, but also on the practice, this puzzle is still, we don't have still answers to all these questions. And that's why this puzzle is not that well adjusted. But I am looking forward that after this presentation, and especially discussion, we'll have at least clearer understanding of one piece of the puzzle, energy policy and law. And here I would also like to invite you to add, of course, energy transition is much complex than this. And for sure, we missed some of the important pieces of the puzzle. So in the chat box, please add if you think that we missed some of the parts which are important. And then we can discuss later on about these aspects as well. So, but namely, yes, besides technology, environmental aspects, social aspects, economic, geographic aspects, I would say that another essential piece of this puzzle is energy policy and law. And then for the people involved in the energy sector, this brings much of complexity in the workforce in general. Why? Because namely, it requires particular multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary knowledge from us. What it means in practice? Well, it's very easy. That's something what we do every day. Multidisciplinary knowledge means being in our professional silos, trying to solve some issues, in this case, energy transition, only using knowledge and methods from our own backgrounds, while interdisciplinarity, and that's something which I really like to highlight and build upon what Dirk mentioned, is trying to build solutions for the energy transition based on different backgrounds, different knowledge, different methods, to try to, in a way, work in a synthesis of approaches. And based on the previous slide, and all the pieces of the energy transition, this seems like nowadays urgently required in the energy transition in order to try to address it promptly and efficiently. And also, if you perceive the role of lawyers in the field and also non-lawyers in the energy field, I would say that it is an endless learning curve for both of us, even though sometimes engineers or other professions are dominating the field. This learning curve and this learning process is always two-way step. And that's something which adds upon to what we discussed today, energy law. However, in order to be efficient, this background or your role, so decision maker, consultant, industry, civil society representative, academia representative, it requires at least basic comprehension of these energy law and policy principles. And what is more important, it influence in the energy sector. So in order to be able to do it, education of energy lawyers, but also other professionals working in the energy sector, is crucial about energy law. And in this sense, I would kind of like you to put in the chat box if you know or if you attended any undergrad, master's, or PhD program which is related to energy. Just please put the university name, the program, and if this program had energy law as a subject. And then we can discuss about it. I think that would be very valuable input for what we are discussing today. So now when we briefly touch upon why energy law in general is important and the knowledge about it, I would like to go back to definition. And here on the bottom of the slide, you can see references to many authors who define energy law in different way. However, for the sake of simplicity and being as much as concrete as possible, I decided to use this very simple definition. Energy law is a set of legal rules that regulate legal relations of production, transmission, distribution, and consumption of energy. And then the logical question now is, okay, how it works in practice. Okay, beside energy law, we shouldn't disregard energy policy. energy policy, namely to have effective energy sector now, we need to have energy policies, or in other words, objectives, which are setting the scene for the sector. However, in order these objectives to be put in place and put in practice, we need norms through energy law. And these objectives are basically transformed into practice in energy norms. We have, now the question is, okay, but where are these norms? Where can we find them? They're everywhere at each level of regulation. So they're existing at the international, supranational, national, and local level. And here you can see that they are very much interrelated. In practice, it means that they are in all these different levels. There are different actors, documents, and instruments of energy law within the energy transition. For example, at the international level, we have international organizations which are adopting treaties, and they're in a way setting standards for the field. Then at the supranational and national level, we have different kind of institutions, academia, industry, civil society, that are both adopting and implementing primary and secondary legislation, for example, at the EU, like supranational level, or laws and bylaws. And in these documents, they're using various instruments of the energy transition. So they're using regulatory policies like feed-in tariffs, feed-in premia now, auctions, or different priority grid access. Also fiscal incentives, which in practice are tax policy or grants. We have different public finance mechanisms like loans, guarantees, for example, and climate-led policies. For example, emission targets, or something very important nowadays in the Western Balkan countries, of course, carbon pricing mechanism after the plans to be introduced in the EU. And finally, we have similar institutions which are also adopting and implementing local legislation, and also adopting individual decisions, and different instruments such as tax breaks, grants, and transfer of land, quite important for energy transition as instruments of energy law in the energy transition. Last but not least, from my side, if we discuss about energy law as a discipline, we cannot disregard energy law principles. And here we have this common triangle where we have three principles. The first one, affordability or economics part, finance. Then we have sustainability, environment or climate change mitigation part. And finally, we have politics, energy security or accessibility of energy. And these three principles, when energy law and policy is being adopted, is pulling on their sides. So the real challenge for lawyers, but also non-lawyers, is to try to balance these three interests and adopt a law which would balance these three aims in order to deliver the best outcome for the energy transition. However, if we examine particular law, it is always that one of these principles would maximize compared to others. However, it really requires to be justified based on the objectives of the energy transition in order to be able to say that, yes, now, for example, environmental part is what we care, what is important to be taken into consideration more than other two. And then basically we use these principles we use in the practice. Finally, last thing from my side, that here on the link, you can see World Energy Council is every year adopting World Energy Trilemma Index, where you can see how particular countries are balancing these three interests in their energy law and policy. And now I would like to turn the floor to Milos. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, very much for your introduction. Good afternoon to everybody. And let's start to think about why energy law is important. Not only for the energy transition, but why it is generally important. On this slide, you can find like different words as the people who are in energy generally, not only the lawyers, You could find them in the documents. You talk about them every day. On the meetings, you will have these words. Somebody will mention solar, geothermal, biogas, but not only in the meetings, in the newspapers, in everyday life, in a house, you will hear these words. And if there is many and plenty of these words, you need to put them somewhere. And why you need to put them somewhere? Because you need to use them in a way that they need to be regulated for usage of the people who need to use them according to the energy policy of each single country. Each single country, because like some countries are under the influence of the European Union if they are in, or they are the contracting partners of energy community, or they are worldwide. They have the same, let's say, issues about all of these things. Why I'm putting, for example, coal here, if we are talking about the energy transition, well, let's talk about the energy packages of the European Union. From the first to the fourth one, energy policy actually changed throughout the time. At the beginning, we didn't have the same knowledge and the same issues we had at the end of the process. The process is not in the end, but on the end of the adoption of the fourth package, let's say. We thought about all of these words differently. We thought about the processes they need to be in differently. And throughout the time, we are, as the energy law, and not only energy law, is going through the energy transition, the energy in total, about them in a different way. Energy law is the, in a way, follower of the all energy processes which are happening in the world. And the policy will define something. We will think about it, whether it's like, now we have these climate change topics, environmental ones, which are tightly connected with the energy law dilemmas. And then following the policy, we will have the regulation, and we will think about each and every single word here differently. Now we have a strategy to get rid of a coal, not to be like the part of, let's say, energy spectrum, not to be the resource we will use for the production of electricity. Also the nuclear energy, you know all the things about the solar and wind. Natural gas from the first package with electricity goes together. So these are the words and these are the processes, not all of them. I put some of them, which I thought that they are important, need to be think about and need to be regulated. Next slide, please, Barbara. Also, when we talk about the energy law, we could not disregard the other branches of law. Okay, we will regulate all of these things I put in the previous slide from the energy law perspective, but they also need to be regulated with some other fields of law. We have the lawyers, which are experts in their own fields, but each of them could be an expert, let's say, in administrative energy law, tax energy law, real estate energy law, because and it will bring more and more experts in this field. Why? Because energy law is growing up, let's say, and the disciplines are becoming like, let's say, we have more and more issues. It's more and more complex. We will have more and more regulations, and then we will need more and more experts, which is natural. This is how each and single branch of law developed throughout the years and the centuries. I put here only some of the things and some of the laws which are connected to energy law. We could claim that every single law in this world could be connected with energy law, like in this or that way. But if we see the practice now, and let's say not the European Union only, USA, we will see that the competition law and energy law are going tighter and tighter one with another. Climate change law, I don't need to think of, and to say anything about it, because you know, like from the first UN conference of on climate change and to the last one, and we are going like with them year by year. We have the new strategies, we have the new policies, and they're also connected to the energy law. Like sometimes they are strictly together in the same agreement, sometimes they are separated, but we are connected them through the same aims and goals. Real estate law, of course, if you need to develop some, let's say, power plant or some other energy object, you need the real estate law to help you there. And more the objects are there, more real estate law you will need for that. Administrative law, well, there are some bodies in each and every single state who need to give you the license to energy object to be in use. Environmental law, like as the same as the climate change, or as I previously said, tax law, of course, really important one in the recent times. how many tax we'll put on that, on each and different single thing, CEO tax, not connected to, let's say, energy law, but it's not part of the energy law, but it's here and it influenced energy, really much energy companies. So what will be my conclusion on this slide? Like, thinking about energy law is not only thinking about the energy law, it's about all complexity of the laws which hold the whole story. Next slide, Barbara, please. When we talk about the cases and the case law, energy law cases, well, we could not say there is one institution in the world who is in charge of all these cases, who will have the court and we will go to the one court and we will do it and that's it. And first, like there is a different claimants and like plaintiffs on one side, like who could claim under in different institutions according to where they are and who they are, and that's why we have the, let's say, different institutions in the world. Some more, some I will not say less important, but not in a focus, who have in their practice the, let's say, energy cases, the cases related to energy laws. So I will start from the last thing. It's a national law and national cases. Well, the majority of them are national, because on national level, first we are deciding about it. There are a lot of topics in each single country related to their energy reality, and there could be different from country to country. In a country where you have developed energy law, and for example, the more complex topics throughout the years, you will have the more cases maybe about the renewables, in some others not. When Energy Charter Treaty, arbitration cases instituted under that treaty is also like one segment of the cases you have in a practice. European Court of Human Rights practice, European Court of Justice practice. Energy Community also have cases, but they're not the real cases because you don't have a court in Energy Community. But what I wanted to say, like I will not go from the court by court or to institution to institution. I just want to say and want to point out that this is a complex story. The thinking about decisions in related to energy law, you need to go to wider and wider practice. All the time you want to find something, you'll go to one institution, see whether they have a case about it, then to the other one, to the third one. And by time, it becomes more and more complex as energy law is more and more complex. And just to say, it's not only interesting to energy lawyers. So of course, we are the one who need to first to read them, and maybe to, let's say, be the witnesses of each and every decision. If we are maybe in the court or we are the lawyers or whatever, influence in the single case. But also the economists, the engineers, they could find then really, really reliable things for their future works as a scientist. And also for the situation, they could be the witnesses in the future, or maybe they already see and have something similar in their own country, which they can use, and developed their practice and energy law on the other side. Next slide, please, Barbara. Now I come to the one interesting topic, which I really like. This is the associations of energy lawyers at, let's say, I will say European, not the EU level, because the first thing I put here is the European Federation of Energy Law Associations, which is like the European Federation of the, let's say, countries in the whole Europe, not only EU countries. A couple of years ago, it was established, and it connects the National Association of Energy Lawyers. There were a couple of founders there, but now it's growing up and growing up. My home country also have the, let's say, Home Energy Law Association, which Barbara and me are the members, and I was also the founding member. This is not the only thing we will think about. Not only the associations of energy law, which are members of EFELA, are the energy law associations, but you also have some regional and national associations related to energy, where you also have the energy lawyers sitting there. Maybe they don't have a legal in their, let's say, title, but they're also connected to the energy law topics. They have energy lawyers here also on the other side to give them that, let's say, legal pattern. But they are not formally law associations. Also, we have some, let's say, next to my home country, there are also some Western Balkan countries which do not have associations, energy associations at the time being, but I hope in the near future that we will all have the national associations, or at least regional ones, where all of us will be and discuss the important energy topics, which energy legal topics on the first side, which are of importance of all of us. In the Western Balkans, yes, I said that we don't have associations, but thinking about it, what is the need? Let's say, why we need them? Like, we need them because, as I said, complexity of energy law, the topics we have day by day are shows the need for us to together and to discuss about it, and then maybe at the end we will have the solutions which will be a benefit of everybody. Barbara, thanks. Next slide. Well, we come to the conclusion, not the conclusion of this session, but the conclusion of this presentation. And at the end, I will say, as we wrote here, that global energy markets and policies create playground for energy law development, as Barbara pointed out in the first place. And together with other legal disciplines, energy law will become more and more complex, which I pointed out, like, I think several times in the last 10 or 15 minutes. And there will be need for more and more energy law experts. With the help of other experts, in the first place, engineers and economists, energy lawyers shall be the promoters of greener and sustainable world. That I didn't mention because the whole of this story is about the energy transition, let's say. Why we need that? Well, we want the sustainability all around us. We want a greener surrounding. And with educated energy lawyers, let's say, which are following the recent, I will not say trends, but the recent needs. I will not call them trends. They are needs for a green and sustainable world. We will have it sooner or later. I hope sooner. Let's start it with the questions. And I have not only me, Barbara and me, have two questions for you guys. Where do you perceive the role of the energy law and energy lawyers in the future of the energy transition will be my first question. And how Energy Lawyers Association can accelerate energy transition. And would you be interested to contribute to the existing or established one?